Hello, welcome back to Let It Cook. Today we're making beef stroganoff, a Russian classic. For this, we need balsamic vinegar, pepper, broth, pickles, paprika powder, sour cream or creme fraiche, a clove of garlic, onion, white wine, Dijon mustard, salt, oil, a bit of flour, beef tenderloin, and mushrooms. So basically, this is a sliced meat dish that comes with a slightly tangy sauce. It's really something special. Give it a try at home. First, I'll cut the beef tenderloin. You can also use the tips or ends for this. That's the small piece on the beef tenderloin. It's even better for this. I couldn't get that yesterday, so I'm using this beef instead. But like I said, the tips are usually a bit cheaper and work just as well for this. Now I'm going to cut off this tendon down here, this silver tendon that's attached. This is what it looks like. It's a bit tough. Out there is the bell. Don't forget to hit the bell. Then you'll get a notification when we upload a new video. And now I like to cut the strips fairly thick. Is there a reason for that? I want the strips to still be pink in the middle afterwards. And now we just cut relatively thick pieces here. Something like this. I mean, these are pretty big chunks, but if you cut them too thin, you won't have a chance for them to stay pink in the middle. That would be a shame, especially with such high quality meat. All right. Then we'll chop up the mushrooms next, cut off the bottom, and then quarter them like this. Probably not all, that's a lot. I've already chopped the onion. You can also use a shallot, it works great, but I didn't have any left, so I'm using a regular onion instead. We want to have about as many mushrooms as meat, maybe just a touch more. That's enough for 2 people. With sliced meat dishes, you need less meat than for a steak. Okay, then let's quickly do the garlic clove. One is enough for that too. Taste it and then just slice it as finely as you can. Chop it finely. I just realized I forgot to mention parsley. I kept it in the fridge to keep it fresh. I didn't put it out now, so you'll need a bit of parsley as well. All recipe details are always in the description box. I can add the garlic to the onions now since they're already chopped. I think everyone here knows how to chop an onion. Last but not least, the pickles. I have these small ones right now. Normally, you use larger pickles, but these are the ones I have on hand. And now we'll just cut them into slightly larger pieces. Please don't throw away the water. We need a little bit of this water for our sauce because it should also have a bit of a sour taste. First of all, we're going to sear the meat. It's really important that you do this first. If you put the meat in the sauce, it will get tough and dry. So what we do is add a bit of oil in there. We just want to quickly sear the outside of the meat so that it's still basically raw in the middle. Now quickly heat it and add pepper. And look, that's enough already. It just needs to be seared once. Once it gets a bit of color, we'll sear it on the other side too, but yeah, not for too long. Yeah, that's the biggest mistake you can make with things like this, searing the meat for too long. Just give it some color and that's it. Okay, and once it's seared all over, we can put it back on the plate. You can see it clearly. Let me show you again. The middle is still completely raw meat. Yeah, and that's exactly how it should be. We'll add a small splash of oil. Just a little is enough. Now we'll add the mushrooms. We'll immediately season them with salt and pepper. Once the mushrooms have taken on a bit of color, we'll add the onions and garlic. Now we need to lower the heat a bit Not too hot, especially with the garlic, because if garlic gets too much heat, it turns bitter. Be careful with that. Add a little splash of oil to it. For the onions. Now add some paprika powder. I have a hot paprika here. Normally you use the sweet one, but I actually like it when the dish has a bit of a kick. Yeah. Okay, and when it's nicely browned, we'll add a bit of flour. We just need a little, since the sour cream will thicken it later. Or the sour cream, so the sauce doesn't need to be as thick as usual. That means 1 teaspoon of flour is enough. Maybe just a little more like this. And now we let it sweat together properly. That's kind of like a roux. You can imagine it like that. Because we're briefly frying the flour in here now. And you have to let it get hot for a moment, then it loses that nasty stickiness that flour has. Yeah? Okay, once it's been briefly fried, then we add a splash of wine. Let it reduce down really well for a moment, the wine, yeah, until it's almost gone. So let that acidity cook off for a moment. And now add a good dollop of broth. Now a bit of Dijon mustard, even if it sounds strange, but that's what makes this dish special. The fact that there's mustard and these pickles in the sauce, I can add them now too. That's almost a bit too many. I'll snack on one and add a little splash of this pickle juice. Yeah, so while the sauce is still simmering here, you need to let it reduce a bit. So that the flavor just gets more intense. So the taste of the broth really comes through. I'm chopping a bit of parsley here, which I didn't mention before, just finely chopping it into a little bundle. Now roughly chop it once or twice. Loyal fans already know this, of course. Don't chop parsley too finely because then it just loses all its flavor. I've told this story a few times already. During our apprenticeship, we chopped it so much that all the essential oils ended up on the board, leaving none in the parsley. I'm not a fan of that. I think you might as well just leave the stuff out altogether. That's why this is enough. And now it needs to cook down to about half. Earlier, I mentioned sour cream or crème fraîche. Sour cream is more traditional. That's how it's usually done. I think it tastes better with crème fraîche. The sauce has a better, creamier consistency, is less crumbly than with sour cream, and I prefer the taste. And that's why I use crème fraîche for that. Let it simmer another minute, then we can continue. Okay, we've simmered it down well, and you can see the great consistency. Now, just a teaspoon of flour is enough to bind it. And now I'm adding the sour cream. And now you can see the sour cream is taking care of the rest. It's basically binding the entire remaining sauce. Look at this. What a nice consistency here. That's how it should be. And now what's going on here? Let the sauce come to a boil again. Let it really cook up nicely. This is almost a bit too thick now, but that's not a big deal because there's still some roasting juice from the meat on the plate. Of course, we'll add that too. It adds a lot of flavor and thins the sauce, making it perfect. Let it come to a nice boil. Add the parsley. Turn off the heat. Yes, really make sure it's not boiling anymore. And when it's no longer boiling, then you add the meat. By the way, I cut 1 or 2 of the really long pieces of meat in half again, like this, and now just put them in here. Stir that in once. And now just let it sit in here for a short time. Yeah, it doesn't need long, just about 3 minutes. What you can do now for serving, if you want to put the pan on the table, just stir in a few little white spots like this. A bit more sour cream. Always looks good and adds extra flavor. Like this. A bit of fresh greens on top again. And that's it, done. Now let's try it. You can make super boiled potatoes with it now, for example, or other cooked vegetables that goes perfectly with it. Now I'll just show you a piece like this so you can see what it should look like. Let's take it out, and if I cut it now, it's still wonderfully pink in the middle, yes? It's very hot, really good. But very delicious. This dish is amazing. Try it out. It tastes completely different from anything you're used to. It's totally different. You need to enjoy pickled cucumber for this dish. Many don't, so it might not suit them. But I hope you have a lot of fun cooking it yourselves. It tastes really, really delicious. We'll see each other again next week. Make yourself some nice potatoes to go with it and enjoy. My dears, take care. Bye. See you.